Welcome back to 5 Minute Bible Study. I'm not going to be able to get through the whole thing today, so I'll just read chapter 12, Matthew 12, verse 1 to 8. At that time, Jesus went through the grain fields on the Sabbath. His disciples were hungry and began to pick some heads of grain and eat them. When the Pharisees saw this, they said to him, "Look, your disciples are doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath." He answered, "Haven't you read what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He entered the house of God, and he and his companions ate the consecrated bread, which was not lawful for them to do, but only for priests. Or haven't you read in the law that on the Sabbath the priests in the temple desecrate the day and yet are innocent? I tell you that one greater than the temple is here. If you had known what these words mean, 'I desire mercy, not sacrifice,' you would not have condemned the innocent, for the Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath." And I read this months ago and wrote these notes months ago. And this is partly why I like doing this Bible study just for myself, because I forget what I got. I forget what I understood. And so when I reread my notes today, it's good for me. And so basically, after this whole thing where he spent some time encouraging people and to come to him and let him be your burden carrier, they start walking through the fields. And it's Sunday, it's the Sabbath, but the disciples are hungry, and so they pick some grain heads, which you're not supposed to do, and they eat them. And I think, okay, well, they're the disciples. They followed the rules before Jesus, so they must have known the rules. They must have known that that wasn't wrong. And then I thought, oh, wow, did they already learn that love is more than rules? Did they already know it's okay to eat on the Sabbath? So were they already starting to relax with the rules in their time around Jesus? But the Pharisees were watching like a hawk, and they jumped on it, which I thought, how often am I like that? "Look, warning, warning, your followers, they're breaking the Sabbath. The losers you picked are doing the dumbest, easiest thing, the rule that everybody knows." But Jesus answered, and I wrote down, he's always handling things calmly, lovingly, willingly. And he said, "Don't you know the story about when David and company were hungry?" Of course they know the story. They're the spiritual gurus. But he said, even David, this guy who you revere and talk about, even that guy broke the laws. He went into God's house, and David and company, they ate the holy bread, the bread that's only for God, which they are not allowed to do. Only priests can do that. And he said, okay, but hang on a second. Have you not done your due diligence and read the law to know that the priests can break the law on the Sabbath and they aren't counted as guilty? And then he says, listen to me. I am greater than any priest, and I am greater than David, way greater. And I am way greater than the temple that was desecrated. You didn't want to sin in the temple. You were all paranoid and watching people like a hawk and making sure you didn't sin in the temple. I'm greater than the temple. How much stronger should you feel around me? And then he says, and I might read this because this hit me. This is the part that I forgot. If you understood what you've spent your whole life studying, and this doesn't just apply to the Pharisees because I spent a long time of my life too. If you would have understood what you were studying your whole life, you would know that hands down, God chooses mercy and compassion over strict rule following. Love comes first, always. God's love. If you knew this, you wouldn't have jumped all over my guys for eating when they are hungry. You would have shown mercy instead. And I wrote a note here to myself saying, how often do I condemn the innocent instead of showing mercy? How often do I jump all over people because I know the standards of the Bible, and in my eyes, this person isn't living up to the standard, and I have no idea the situation, the insides, the heart, or what's going on. I just condemn the outside instead of showing mercy. But I don't want people to do that to me. And then I love it. He finishes by saying, I'm not a follower of the Sabbath like you. I'm Lord over it. I'm the king of it. I made the Sabbath, I make the rules, and the rule now is compassion and mercy trump rules.